it away.
So Cameron Wolf, friend of the program, he's actually come on twice, hasn't been on in 2 years. We got to get Cam back on.
Yeah.
But he was doing his training camp tour, stopped by Berea earlier this week, and got a one-on-one with Todd Monken. And for the first time, to my knowledge, Todd Monken actually gave us some insight into his plans for how to start his quarterbacks in the preseason. Todd told Cam Wolf in their one-on-one interview, quote, Monken just told me a few minutes ago that he's going to start one quarterback the first preseason game. The other will start the second. And then most likely the leader of the competition is going to start the third. This next week is going to decide who gets each of those games. So it's like we thought. Deshaun will start one. Shedeur will start one. The third will be the most likely week one quarterback for the Browns. Yeah. Earl, I think we're going to agree, so we're going to get to the next part quickly, but this is the right way to handle the quarterback situation if you're Todd Monken, correct?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think this is the right way to handle it. We've just went through those 8 days of install. Todd Monken has been rotating the quarterbacks each and every day, and now that install is over and you starting to get into the meat and potatoes of putting everything together and actually, practicing against mock schemes and mock fronts that you're going to see when the season starts, it makes all the sense in the world as you start to work your way towards real games that whoever starts to outperform each other this week, next week, etc., especially in those preseason games, will get the nod to start their third preseason game, which I believe will inevitably show who's the starting quarterback is for the 2026 season. And so, yeah, I do think that this is the right way to go about that.
Man, it's the only way to do it. That's why, listen, I've been steadfast and standing on what I'm saying. Like a lot of people, hey, get this person a job here, get this person a job here. We should just go ahead and do this. Nah, no. Todd Monken has already always said, man, your team and his team and the players will choose who the player is. Now that the install is in, now we want to see who's going to make the plays. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? My coach used to tell me, shout out to Coach Ray McCartney, defensive line. He said, man, don't tell me about the labor pain. Show me the baby. People just want to see the baby. They want baby pictures. Like, let's get to it. You got to go through the pain to get to the gains. And so you got the install in. Now it's time to see who can go and be in a game time situation and make plays. Like, let me just keep it real. Yes, structure is great. Playing in structure is great. But you need to, for a franchise quarterback and a starting quarterback, you need three components of your game. You need to have the mental aspect and understanding what you need to do at the line of scrimmage and what to get your team in the best position. You need to also understand where the play is supposed to be going and what the concept is from the coach. But the third thing that you must marry with that is when all else fails and the 15-pitch the scripted plays is out of here, what do you do to make plays when everything falls apart? And life is all about things falling apart, and it's your reaction to them. So that's what we're going to see. I'm ready to see the competition, and now everything is in. Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, go back to your dorms or wherever your house is. Make sure that you're looking at your playbook, and now all the thinking is over. It's time to play. It's time to compete.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I think that Monken's approach here is exactly the right one. I was fearful, and we can't do that because we're not in that position this year. But remember, under the Kevin Stefanski regime, we never got to see anybody in preseason
at all,
ever.
No.
I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why is he turned the preseason into weeks 1, 2, and 3 of the regular season?
Prepatrick Mahomes was playing.
Well, hell, we dug such a deep hole after week 3. Our season was over.
Yeah.
I firmly believe you got to iron out the wrinkles in the preseason, and I want these guys to play a significant amount of time. I don't want 1 series, 2 series, get them out of it.
Oh, no.
I want time. And I think, because part of your question was, do you want to see them?
Should it be a full game?
Yeah,
should it be
a
half?
full game or a half game? I don't necessarily have a preference either way. I think if you want to do it apples to apples, you give one quarterback a full game and you give the next quarterback a full game. I'm not sure he's going to do that. He might switch it up at halftime and put the other one in. He's also got to figure out who's his number 3. Yeah. And I think we know, but I've heard that Dylan Gabriel is all that in practice, and he's looked, okay, I want to see him in the preseason as well. If it truly is a 3-man race at this point, which I don't think it is, but if it is, let's see what we have there. So, yeah, I want to see something jumped out to me. I know, don't make fun of me because I watched this last night. I know I have no life. but I did watch the first NFL game.
It was fun.
Yeah, I watched it. It was an
It was
entertaining
fun.
game. It came down to the
I didn't see
very
it.
last play of the game. Arizona's quarterback had there were 2 seconds left. He had the
Carolina's.
ball on the 2-yard line.
Carolina's, not Arizona.
Yeah, Carolina,
And it
I'm
was
sorry.
Haynes
Haynes
King,
King.
my guy, by the way.
And he drops back, and there's nothing happening. And he
Scramble.
looks, and he surveys, and he nosedives it into the end zone. And he made it by this much on the last, the clock was at 0. And so Carolina won 33-30, but something jumped out at me. I'm going to read you guys the quarterback numbers from yesterday, okay? And Collinsworth, I thought, did a great job of pointing this out in the game. Look, guys, they're going against the absolute most basic, simple defenses that they will ever see. So take this with a grain of salt. That's what in the preseason, you're not showing exotic blitzes
At all.
You're not playing you're just gonna we're 4-3 team. We're gonna line it up and we're
Base.
gonna
There go
come.
your base. There
Yes,
you go.
base defense every single play. So Carson Beck, who I thought looked really, really good,
Yeah.
was 15 of 19 for 188 yards and a touchdown. Keldon Slovis was the backup for Arizona. 9 of 10 for 106 yards and a touchdown. So their collective numbers were 24 of 29, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Okay. Then I'll give you the numbers for Carolina. No, those were Carolina's numbers. My bad. Here's the numbers for Phoenix or for Arizona.
No, that was Arizona. Now you're getting
Yeah,
Carolina.
I'm sorry. I'm getting
Haynes
all-
King is Carolina. Carson Beck, Arizona.
Yeah, but what I did was I accidentally merged the number. I said Beck and Clovis were the numbers that I read. So
That's Arizona.
combined, that's Carolina. Combined, they were 24 of 29. These are just ridiculous numbers. Then you go over to Carolina's numbers. King was 21 of 34. This guy can play. Why do you say he's your guy?
I was covering high school football in Texas where he
Oh,
won
okay.
a championship. He went to Texas A&M before transferring to Georgia Tech. I know his father. I know
He
Haynes
impressed
pretty well.
me.
He
He was 21 of 34.
He could play.
For 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Kenny Pickett was 8 of 11 with no touchdowns, no picks. 29 of 45. Quarterback play was absolutely stellar. So here's what I expect to see from our guys. A high completion percentage with touchdowns and no picks. That's what the preseason is for. You're not going to see a lot of crazy defenses. If either of these guys struggle against preseason defenses, that's a red flag.
Yeah, and I like what you.
I don't know if you could compare one preseason game.
No, I know,
No
but Chris
offense, Jay.
Collinsworth made the point. What you see in the preseason is
Is
nothing
not
like what
advanced.
you're going to see in the regular season. If you can't get it done in the preseason, that's a problem.
You gotta. I look at this. For me, I look at the question is when you go back and say, okay, well, how you gonna rate this up? I know they don't really ever do this, but I almost want to be like, yeah, give them the whole game, because it's almost like this. You think about it. You start off the game. What if the other team goes on a long drive?
Yeah.
What if and then you got the halftime that's breaking it up a little bit.
A running back fumbles on the first play of the series.
The touches. I want to give a guy a full entire
I like
look
that, G. I
to
like
just be like, I saw you a whole game. You got more comfortable. Maybe you started cooking, or hey, you started off fast. You kind of trailed off there a little bit because I expect you, if you're the starting quarterback, you're supposed to pick it up because they're gonna be playing the 2s and 3s.
Yep.
So you're supposed to be cooking the 2s and 3s. So I don't know if they'll do that. And then I would, if you already know that Dylan Gabriel is not in contention and he's your third team quarterback, then I'm like, why am I playing? You might get the fourth quarter, but for the bulk of this game, Deshaun
the third game.
or the third
You might get the
game,
third
like
game.
we don't get our starter hurt, but for the majority of them 2 games, I want to go with the competition.
I
dudes.
agree with you. I want to see a guy for 4 straight quarters to see if he can get into that rhythm, to see what he can do. And also, I know that nobody's tried to win the game in preseason. It was interesting. Arizona, and if they would have done this, or Carolina could have kicked a field goal to tie the game yesterday. But they said, nope, we're going to win or lose it on this play. The game's going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think there is something to winning a game. I know it doesn't really matter, but the intent of every game is to win. You don't want to go out there and nobody goes out there before preseason games and says, guys, let's go lose this thing.
Take this L.
No, you want to win because it does build momentum. It does help to. And look, if there's a team that needs to go 3-0 in the preseason, it's us. It would help.
Yeah.
It's better than 0-3.
Baltimore trying to win every preseason game they play.
And I like that. Listen, I always thought that was smart.
Yeah.
Didn't
Like,
they
go out there
win
and win
13
them.
in a row? It was like 4 straight preseasons.
They just
didn't
went
lose
out
a
to
game.
win.
Yeah,
And I like that, though.
it's
Why would
wild.
you build a losing culture? Why would you allow losing to creep in any way, shape, or form?
It is crazy. The next part of the conversation that Cameron Rolfe and Todd Monken had was about each individual quarterback and how they can improve and what Todd Monken wants to see from each of them throughout camp. So I'm going to read you what Todd told Cameron Rolfe about Shedeur and Deshaun, then we'll react to whether or not we agree with the assessment from the head ball coach of the Cleveland Browns. Okay. On Shedeur, Todd Monken told Cameron Rolfe, quote, and once again, this is Cameron Rolfe talking about his conversation, so that's why it says Monken. But, quote, Monken has been very impressed by Shedeur Sanders over the last 4 months and how he's grown, particularly in terms of operation, but he still has room to go. He said his challenge for Shedeur, get in and out of the huddle a little cleaner and be a little faster with your decision-making. So me as a coach, I don't have anxiety coaching you. In terms of Deshaun Watson, Todd Monken told Cam Wolf, as far as Deshaun, he's got to take care of the ball better. He's had 6 interceptions at this stage of training camp, but it's important to note this is still the install part of the team, and the team is still going to have 3 more practices before they get into game mode to really see what's going on. Earl, thoughts on Todd Monken's early evaluation and his conversation with Cameron Wolfe in terms of where Shedeur and Deshaun both need to still improve?
I thought he was very transparent. I thought he was honest about his assessment of both his quarterbacks. Last Saturday before practice, Todd Monken was talking about, how Dylan Gabriel and Deshaun Watson have been in multiple different systems with, multiple coordinators, multiple everything. And so they are more familiar, might be a little bit ahead of Shedeur Sanders when it comes to retention of the things that he's installing. I do agree with the fact that he's gotten better at, he's improved tremendously at the things that was issues last year as far as processing, cadence, getting in and out of the huddle. And I think that for Todd Monken, he just wants to see that speed up a little bit more. And I think that over time, he will get the opportunity to do so. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, he seems to sing the same sentiments that Kevin Stefanski did with turnovers, one that we all do. Don't nobody like a quarterback that turns the football over. And so I look at the assessment of both quarterbacks as him being very honest and transparent and challenging both of those dudes to be better than what he has seen so far. And that's okay for my head coach to do that.
Man, I thought it was poignant. I'll give you an example about myself. I remember when we first started doing this show, and we had a coach. I think his name was Tony. It was Tony Martinez?
Tony Martinez. Yep.
So he came
Good
in.
recall.
Yeah, Tony Martinez. We was here, and at the time, I was an individual who I had did podcasts before. I had did a radio show on Saturday, but in terms of like linear television or doing things on a panel like that, everybody else pretty much had more experience than me. And so when he came into the coaching session, he taped the first 2 practices, or the first 2 shows, and he said, "You know what? You got a gift. People want to hear what you say because they don't really know what you're going to say." He's like, "But the problem is you take too long to start cooking. You got to understand something. It's Jay and Bull and Jason, and there's a bunch of other people here. If you take too long to start cooking, they already in the conversation. They're already back in because their pace is different. They've done TV and they've done radio where they understand the clock." Right. He's like, "You burying the lead." So I understand what he's saying. He's saying with Shedeur, hey, listen, when you get out there and you're comfortable in cooking, hey, let's get to that early. I don't want to have the anxiety of saying, okay, well, I'm waiting to see what you're going to do. Give them that confidence, speed it up a little bit. And it takes time to do that. As the show continued to go on, I learned, yeah, listen, don't waste your best stuff. Don't keep it in the chamber because it might get left on the cutting floor.
Yeah.
So for him, it's like, let's get in here, know what you're going to do, and let's get back to it and continue to cook. So that's just something that everybody in their profession goes through. Now, for Deshaun Watson, he does have an advantage over Shedeur Sanders in the fact that his verbiage translates. He knows the concepts. He can say, okay, Bill O'Brien used to call X jet Y 32 snap. That used to be what Coach Monken is calling a different thing, but it's the same concept. So he has a playbook or in his mind, infrastructure of conceptualizing the whole offense. That is something that comes with experience and timing. Now, you can't that's invaluable. You can't buy that. The only way you get that is by studying and being on the field to get the experience. The thing that Shedeur Sanders needs to do in order to beat Deshaun Watson is this. He needs to ease the anxiety to know that he knows it good enough or just as good as Deshaun.
Yeah.
And the thing that is his superpower is he can make plays. If you can marry the two, lower that anxiety of the coach to say, I can call anything in my playbook and you can execute it. But he also has the it factor to make plays when that don't work. That's the way he wins the job.
Very good points, both of you. First of all, I want to start by saying Todd Monken, he said something. Not only did he say something, he said it to a reporter that he knew was going to get it out there, and it was going to be read and seen. Kevin Stefanski never would have given that kind of answer.
Insight.
Ever. Kevin Stefanski said, well, we're still looking at what we have, and we're still trying to figure out who the best guy is. And they both have done some really good things, and they both have done some things that we need them to clean up if they're going to be our starting quarterback. But we're going to continue to evaluate each guy on a daily basis, and by the time the season starts, we'll have a starting quarterback. And fans and media were left like saying, what? Well, that you didn't say a thing. You didn't tell us anything. And Todd Monken, in 2 little quote panels, told us everything that we need to know about where these guys are. Deshaun Watson, you got to stop throwing interceptions, period, point blank. It was funny. Deshaun Watson had his best practice yesterday.
Or did that
2
be
days ago. 2 days ago.
It was Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Interesting. And I, by the way, I think both criticisms are dead on. I think Deshaun, if he turns the ball over, you're not starting, period. You're not going to be a starting quarterback if you turn the ball over. And if you are named a starting quarterback for either of these guys and you're turning it over on a regular basis, you're not going to remain the starting quarterback. You're coming out. And on the Deshaun Watson front, Shedeur Sanders, I think everybody would agree that he's got to get rid of the football faster. I love something that we're seeing now in professional football. They have GoPros right here, right here on their helmet. So when they are done with practice and Deshaun Watson says, no, that my slant wasn't open, he was covered. They say, well, let's go to the videotape. Let's put that in. Was that the 4th play of the second series? Let's call that up. Whoa.
I want to see what you saw.
Your slant's uncovered. He's wide open. That's your first read. Throw it. And that's how players get better. Because I think for a lot of times, the coaches always had to just kind of take the player's word for it. Well, this was looking at. This
what I saw.
Yeah. Well, now the GoPro was seeing exactly what you're seeing. And now they can stop, start in real time and slow-mo and circle and draw things and say, no, Deshaun, that's your read. That's your first read. He's there. He's got 3 steps of separation and he's angling towards the sidelines. That's an out throw you've got to make. So tomorrow when we go back on the practice field and we run that same play, you better look hard at him because if he's open, you better give him the football. And the same thing with Shedeur Sanders. They can look at what he's seeing and they can say, well, first of all, when you're up at the line of scrimmage, you know you got to uncheck defensive end. You need to get a tight end over on that side. You need to cover him up. So there's all kinds of little things that in real time, the coaches can now go back and say, and that's how you make guys better. And we're going to find out about Todd Monken's offensive acuity. We're going to find out how good he is because he's seeing all of these plays. All the coaches are looking at all of this tape. They're showing these players where you can be better. I know you saw it in real time this way, but sometimes in war, talk to witnesses about a car accident. You'll get 8 different stories. Oh, no. This car was already in the intersection. Well, the videotape shows that he was behind the white line. He wasn't in the intersection. That's the way you remembered it. So now we're getting better information from our coaching sessions. And these are players that clearly both need coached up. So I think the best man is going to win this job, whoever it ends up being. I love that Todd Monken was straightforward with these guys. I'm sure it's nothing the players themselves haven't heard in one-on-one meetings with Todd Monken.
And I'm glad it's on record because there ain't even nothing to argue about.
No, it's out there.
You see?
You heard it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yes,
you see what transparency does.